This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, June 25th, 2025. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. NATO summit concludes at The Hague. Nothing major of note. Recently released details of a murder case highlight growing terrorism concerns. Beginning with international events. In Europe this afternoon, the NATO summit concluded largely without incident. This year, the focus was largely centered around President Trump's return to the White House and the subsequent changing of American priorities throughout NATO. Analysts comment. For the most part, nothing surprising was discussed. Commitments to NATO in terms of Article 5, increased defense spending, and general discussion of the war in Ukraine were all points of discussion as usual, but for the most part, this was a fairly unassuming summit. On the home front in Arizona, yesterday afternoon, Adam Schiff confessed to the murder of Bill Shoneman, a local pastor. Schiff had previously been arrested for the murder and conducted the interview from jail. Analysts comment. This murder occurred back in April. However, the recent interview given from jail has revealed the exceptionally graphic details of the murder. At the time, the details of this murder were not publicized, nor was Schiff's plan to murder 13 other religious leaders around the nation. At the time of his arrest, he was in the final stages of planning the murder of 2 other pastors in the Phoenix area. This was not a random targeting effort. This was a deliberate attempt to target specific religious leaders who may not have known that they were being targeted specifically. Also of note, the family of Bill Shoneman released a statement yesterday expressing concern that the killer was able to have unsupervised internet access to conduct an interview while being incarcerated. The family statement also mentioned that this individual is not only not remorseful, but also very dedicated to continuing the mass murder of Christian clergymen. Considering that media groups have allowed him to spread his ideology, this is an important concern to note as the threat of copycats remains persistent. Analyst comments for this wire. So far, the ceasefire in the Middle East is holding. However, this ceasefire is tenuous at best, as all sides seek to capitalize in the cessation of hostilities to continue machinations. Iran's defense minister, Aziz Nasirzadeh, arrived in China this morning, signaling both an attempt to improve relations with China, but possibly also signaling fractures in Iran's relationship with Russia. Throughout Israel, the implementation of the ceasefire has soured relations with the United States somewhat, with many low-level officials making statements that they intend to continue targeting Iran's nuclear program. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, June 25th, 2025.